So let's just get some sense of who is looking for a job. Is that okay? Who is struggling? Okay. This morning's paper, the job market report, U.S. job market report came out and said the numbers are better than expected, except in one key area. And that one key area was information services. And that's all of you, right? So why does anybody think, what's going on? What are some of the key reasons that this is being impacted so much?
Yeah. Modification of the JDs.
I'm sorry, what?
Modification of the job descriptions.
Part of it, yeah, connected with how job roles are changing. But job roles have always evolved. If you're in technology and you don't like change, you're in the wrong space. Okay? So AI, of course, right? That's the fail-safe. Oversaturation. Like 8 years ago, I remember talking to a guy who was getting into data science, and he said, I want you to write a resume for me because I'm networking. I looked at his education, I said, put your education on a business card. That is all you need to do, right? And you got a job. And that's no longer the case. I'm guessing that even though those of you who have master's degrees, that you're probably struggling to get that step in the door, even if you have an internship. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. So this presentation is going to be very fast. What we're going to do first is we're going to talk about career planning, and then we're going to talk about technical resumes, right? So let's just wait, how to use this? How do I do this? Just right there. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is the path to a data science career. At the end of this presentation, I actually have a video that I put together talking about what that path is. So many of you have noticed is that it's no longer a master's degree, step into a data science job, right? There, you have to take a different path. You can still get to that data science degree, but you need to consider other options, right? You need to think about what else can you do. Now, many people, it was about 3 years ago, I noticed that there was more of a struggle getting entry-level jobs. So people moved to data scientist jobs or data analyst jobs. That market is saturated. So now's the time. What do you got? There are lots of opportunities out there. So what else can you do that maybe is data adjacent? Does anybody have a student? Rebecca, what would be?
Data governance.
Yeah, there you go. You got that. So what we're going to do is, part of this is thinking, how can you stay close to data? How can you use your education? But you can take a slightly different route, because what you need to do is you need to get experience. An internship alone is not going to do it. You need that couple years experience, and even a couple years. Now with this job market, it's a rigorous process to find a job. So let me see here. So that's the bad news. We need to move on to what some of the good news is. What we're going to do here is data stewardship. I was talking with Rebecca about this. It's a tremendous opportunity. It's data adjacent. It requires business domain knowledge, facilitation skills, and so forth. It gets you in the door. Data stewards work with all parts of the data ecosystem, all right? And also, so here's some of the things, and I think they're going to make this available afterwards, so you don't have to, take the whole thing. But so here are some of the things. If you're talking about the data stewardship, some of it, or some of the job titles, data governance analyst, right? Data quality coordinator. You may think that data quality does not have the pizzazz, but a corporation cannot run on bad data, And part of what you do as a data scientist, you cleanse data, right? That's just the way it goes. You learn how to manipulate data and improve data. That's the same thing that someone as a data steward does. So you can get data compliance engineer, metadata specialist. Now the metadata specialist, that's a hard job. That is someone who has to go around and get consensus, can you imagine? And gather people together, because I used to work at the University of Washington and they could not define what is a student. Because everyone is a graduate student, is it a graduated student, an incoming student? Nobody could agree on what that was. So part of the data stewardship, which is a pivotal role in organizations, is more important now. It's not necessarily advertised. You have to actively look for these types of organizations. And if you have any industry knowledge and in particular passion in the kind of organization, that's your in, because you need to have domain knowledge. Does that make sense? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, actually, two questions. First, we have, you talk about enter-level tech kind of roles, but now we're in the market, but actually market is shifting. So people who had a lot of experience with tech, with AI, with any other resources, we need to shift their careers. And part of the stuff that the people been doing, let's say data cleaning, now it could be done with AI for 10 minutes. That
I'm sorry, the last thing was what?
But data cleaning, data analyzing, so
right.
But it used to take months of
yes.
very tedious work. Now we can actually create some AI tool that help us to do it within half an hour or something like that. So can we also talk a little bit about also this pivots, but within experienced professionals?
Okay, so let's say, with someone with 5 or 6 years experience or whatever?
20 years of experience.
Okay,
yeah.
20 years, you're in a different boat. Okay? I'm happy to have a conversation. Are you talking about your own experience?
I just included myself, but I think it's kind of what I noticed in the industry a lot. A lot of people who because where we losing the positions, it's basically high tech, right?
Yeah.
So the people who have very experienced engineers, people who have very experienced developers now with AI tools, with any other stuff, they need to pivot their careers
yes.
just because kind of the market is not there anymore, and all of this thousands of layoffs that we are facing.
Yeah, this is the thing is that they're eliminating. IBM tried that, right? They thought, because they're IBM, that they thought we'll get rid of the HR department because we can automate all the processes and stuff like that. It was a complete failure because you need that in that. Part of it. Who's been on a robotic interview? Yeah. So you're not in a robotic interview. You actually have to have good facial expressions. It knows if it's a fake smile or not, right? So that's the difficulty. And I have a client I'm working with who actually has 20 years experience in systems and software engineering and cannot get a job. And so we had a difficult decision about what training he needs to have. He didn't want to look AI, but I said, you're not going to be doing AI, but you're working in AI ecosystems. You need to know what's going on. And on your resume needs to talk about the relationships that you can have with the AI team, right? And part of the challenge that you have now is you don't have, if you only have a year or two experience, that's a lot of times it's not enough to kind of jumpstart this market. So you're selling them on your capabilities, what you can do. And that's a hard sell. But unless you know what your capabilities are, you can't even sell that. Who can say what their capabilities are? Does anybody want to volunteer? So from my perspective, how I define capabilities, it's your interest, your passions, your knowledge base, and your talents. What are you naturally good at? And that's part of your capabilities, because the thing is, that we'll get to this in a minute, is being innovative. How do you like that? Not only do you have AI, you have the fact that stable and reliable is a hard sell now.
Yeah, but for me, capabilities is also about like ability to deliver. Like, you know, being innovative is like you can create ideas, you can create like I don't know, interesting solutions. But if you're unable to deliver in the modern world, like kind of if you don't have experience with like now AI tools or something.
That's exactly it. But you need to think in terms of what that skill set is. What skill set allows you to deliver? It's those things that make up that skill set. Is it the fact that you just don't take any shit and you're going to get it done, right? Okay, that may be your capability. So, but that's what, for those of you that are new to the industry, that's what you're selling. You're selling the ability to be innovative. Companies don't know what to do with AI. IBM didn't know what to do with AI, and they made it was a disaster. So what they need is someone that can help guide them through that process. And when you write your resume and your interview, those are the kinds of things you should be talking about. Okay? Oops, let me get back. So when you look, this is sort of my, overall sketch of sort of the technical domains and the kind of the types of work, right? So you can no longer be just part of this. You have to understand what everybody else is doing in the organization, right? You can't be in your isolated, like if you're in the AI intellect systems, because of the fact you've got data interoperability, right? So the data is talking, everybody's talking together. Even legacy systems are transmitting, maybe not integrated, but they're interoperable. So part of what you need to do, and part of your education is that you can talk about these different things, because when you're in an interview, you need to talk about, if you understand who you're supporting, who you're working with, and what the goals of the organization are. So I use, when I'm working with clients, as part of their career planning, this is what I'm using. So let's look at an example. All right, so let me read this and make sure I get this right. So the person starts in governance and oversight in the data analytics space. And then, let's see. So that, sits at the data analytics and governance oversight. So if you look at this as a matrix, so here they're starting, and they're starting to move into engineering and development, all right? So my client started as a data steward. So we talked about that as being an entry point. And this is moving on from that, right? Progressed to data quality analyst, already using a lot of the skills that you already have. And with an interest in capabilities, remember, it's your interest, your talents. What drives what's your passion, all right? And so this is their journey through the technology landscape. You should be able to visualize your journey. You should be able to look at this and say, I want to be here, because AI can actually help you with that. So if you're thinking, because you have to take a slightly different route, where can you start and where do you want to end up? Because along that route, a lot's going to change. Something's going to spark your interest. And it may not specifically be as a data scientist. It may be something related to that. Okay? Any questions about how you might be able to use this? So it's not just you visualizing that. Yes?
How do you know what leads to what? Like, I'm in grad school now, so I don't have the experience to know like what can lead to what next position.
Okay, that's where AI is a fabulous partner in that endeavor, okay? I don't use OpenAI because they lie and cheat. Okay? I just don't, whatever they write, I don't know where they get it from. I use Claude. I use Claude first of all because they're an ethical AI solution, which in ethics is important to me, right? It's how you prompt the information. AI loves data, right? So what's your prompt going to be? Your prompt is going to be, I'm a graduate student. I'm interested in this, this, and this, right? And I also use an assessment. And at the end, you're going to put a link if they want to do that assessment themselves, a free assessment, right? And that's to get at what's a differentiator for you. So what I do is I throw that assessment result in there. I write out the client's background. This is the whole story. It doesn't matter how long the prompt is, right? You tell them what you're interested in, what you're passionate about. How do I get to that role? And you ask, you want a multi-step path. And you want to know what training do you need along the way to get to that path. That is the power of AI, right? And you have to also tell it, don't lie to me. Okay? I've had, even Claude's like, oh, so sorry. So you have, and then you say, I want a practical step-by-step plan to help you get. That's the beauty of it. I also use propensity because they're a wonderful research tool. No, perplexity, sorry. They're a great research tool. Okay, so if you want to look, open to more ideas and so forth, that should be on your radar right now while you're in school. Does somebody?
Yeah, somewhat related question about job descriptions that have many AI or data roles. So it'd be like some sort of a little bit of data engineering, some AI work, data manager sort of roles in nonprofits, sort of where you may have. And how do you suggest like picking through those and matching those with your experience? Do you try to find relations between yourself and each of those requirements, or position yourself as like these are my 3 passion and interests, and so the rest are forget about them?
Yeah, well, first of all, they ask for everything. I've never seen a job description for technology. It's 10 years, it's only been around for free, right? So you have to, that's a personal choice. You have to decide where you want to focus. Data management is good for everybody. And all of you are involved in data management now, whether you want to or not. Okay, it's understanding data. It's the data quality, all those kinds of things, right? So in that case, I would just probably pick the couple top ones. Because you can't, it used to be, you could be the jack of all trades. That's a harder sell. Okay, so if you like data management, that's another alternative path, right? There's lots of interesting stuff that you can do in there. I know I really haven't answered your question, but you see, you have to decide. Even though they want all this stuff, you have to think, what is it they really want? And that's in the job description. Because the job descriptions, how long are they typically, right? Really long. So, okay, all right. So let's go. Everybody's familiar with this? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, let's zoom through this. Okay, here's the basic thing. Everybody adopted it, AI and stuff like that. Now we're in the differentiation part, right? Where the question is, how do you differentiate yourself? And we're going to go through that, okay? This stuff is not. Okay, let's talk about the capabilities. Right? This is my definition. It's your skills, what you can do, what you learned in school to do, maybe what you have some experience with, your talents, what you really enjoy. It could be, dogs, right? It could be, you're a great dog trainer. Maybe that just comes through natural interest is what energizes you, all right? And then knowledge is what can you get in front of the classroom and start talking about. The assessment that all of you can take if you want, is going to examine this in a lot of different areas. So once you get this assessment, it's going to be charts. AI loves charts. So what you're going to do is you're going to put those charts into the AI thing, and you're going to say, these are charts, these are things I'm passionate about, I'm looking for opportunities. All right? So let's go. Okay, I'm not going to make you listen to the video that's there. All it is, it's a video that I created because it's about what are your talents. Not everybody thinks about that. Who can tell me what one of their talents is? Anybody want? I see a smile back there.
I like to make a joke.
I actually put that in the resume for somebody.
Really?
Yes. I think I have an example here. Okay. The capabilities that, like I said, the innovation, that's what companies want. They want someone that's going to have full of ideas for how they can leverage AI and do it successfully. So when you think about what you do, you need to think about, so on your resume, curiosity, judgment, empathy, systems thinking. These are all the people skills that AI cannot do. AI's got this. Your edge is innovation, because AI, and maybe at some point this might change, it's not innovative without your help. So these are the things that you bring to the equation. Okay? Now we're just going to switch real fast to resume writing. Okay? I've been writing resumes for technical people. Oh my God, it might be 23 years now. But I was a mere toddler. So here is what you want. So when when you normally see a resume, they're like, what's the number? What's the number? Nobody really cares about what that number is. If you're saying you improve processes by 30%, that is a meaningless concept. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what the process was. I don't know, is 30% good or is it not good? I want you to think about what your story is. So when you're talking about a project, what you're going to do first is you're going to write out the narrative. Yes, you're going to just type it out, you can record it, whatever. I want you to talk about what happened during the project. Who did you work with? This comes back to the teams that you worked on. Who did you work with? Why was the project important? Because, yes, you want to include numbers, but numbers should not start at the beginning. Numbers should be part of the story that you tell. And here are some of the things, the challenges, who got value. These are the more important. You integrate your capabilities into the stories, the capabilities that you're going to get once you take my assessment and you get the charts and graphs, okay? This is about, because I said for many of you that don't yet have a lot of experience, it's about looking toward the future. Here's some of the stuff. How did what you do influence or change you? What did you learn? What did you learn is an important question. Besides, I get that over, or maybe I took that anyway. That's an important question because that's what you're sharing, that's what you're thinking, and your ability to learn and be passionate is what companies need. You're going to have to sell them that. Okay, does this make sense?